intersection at this time. I know that in the past few days, the agitation for or advocacy for Yoruba nation self-determination began to gain current again. And I have the spokesperson, the mouthpiece for Oloye Sunday Adeyemo, aka Sunday Igbo, is live with me, and together we shall be discussing the updates so far. Good afternoon to you. Can I use, please let us mix it Yoruba, English, Wafi because of the kind of audience for this conversation. So, good afternoon to you, Mr. Koiki, Ogbeni Koiki,
Good
Alagba
afternoon.
Koiki, Chief Koiki, Oloye Koiki.
Good afternoon, my brother Shegun, and thank you for for hosting us at this very important day. And I say good afternoon to all your audience. I know we've been trying to have this discussion, but again, bear with me because of my voice. So I will try to speak as much as I can. But in case people are wondering why the voice is like that, it's because of the activities in the last couple of days.
So, you're welcome. So, let's kickstart it without wasting any time at all. So, in the past few days, we saw some activities spiking again in respect of the advocacy to have the Yoruba nation liberated from Nigeria. So we saw a presentation of petition by Chief Sunday Adeyemo Sunday Igboho at 10 Downing Street, and people are wondering what's up this time. Can you bring us up to speed? So far, since the advocacy started, what where are we now? Where is the movement at this point? What are the achievements so far? And what is the content, if you may disclose, of the petition to the UK Prime Minister?
Let's go this way. The content won't be necessary to be disclosed because I don't even know, what is in the content. That is confidential, and I don't expect anyone to, to tap the brain of those of us that are behind, the scene of this movement to want to know the content. I think what is most important is why is the content or the letter, or some have called it a petition, generating conversation and discussion around the world. We're gonna come back to that, but first and foremost, let me bring you up to date because that was the question you asked. You wanted to know where we are. I remember, if I'm probably right, I think I was on your program some few years back, and a lot has happened in the last 2 years. Whether the last time I was with you, Chief was still in Benin Republic, but where we are right now is that the movement, as many people thought, died down, especially after the election that took place in Nigeria. We all know that it was a divided election because those that are Yorubas believe that we were working against the Emilokan agenda of President Bola Tinubu. So that literally means that there was a bit of conflict, especially when people are now asking why has a letter been delivered to United Kingdom, and I'll be telling you in reverse why the presidential candidate Abita Obi that came to UK the same number 10 Downing Street. But where we are is that we had a lot of infiltration in the movement, and we were already prepared for that. We had, someone that came into the movement and, gave herself as another beacon of hope. But we now realize that, I mean, and I'm talking with fact and evidence here that she was working, from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu agenda, and I'm talking about, Dupe Onitiri that we thought part and part of this particular, hope for the 60 million plus, Yorubas at home and in the diaspora that wanted to have the right to self-determination. So that created a lot of friction because along the line, she went ahead and did what they called, a fake declaration. You don't declare a country that no other countries recognize. That is number one. You don't declare a country where you don't even have access to control your own resources. You don't declare a country where you cannot even manage, the local government as well. So, in as much as what we saw in Ibadan at the secretariat was part of the agenda, by Tinubu himself. And I'm speaking with fact and figures here because we know that this is not the first time that he has done so, because a lot of evidence are put onto that. So where are we? And what has happened is that many people expect Igboho to be out there, as a destructive individual. But what they did not realize is that Igboho and Babakitoye, Igboho that many people say doesn't, speak English, Igboho that didn't have, the capacity, to take the Yoruba people, to the beacon of where we believe we should be. Let me take you back to 1957. In 1957, Baba Olawa was not even 40 years old when he was fighting for the independence of Nigeria. And this is the same UK where Baba Olawa was having that discussion, not in Nigeria. As much as whatever discussion was taking place in Nigeria, the bulk of the conversation that led to the independence of Nigeria in 1960 all took place just about, I'm not in London right now, I'm in Manchester, I'm sure you're not aware that, but that took place in Lancaster House in 1957, 1958, that led to we, as at the time, under Baba Ulawo, to go and campaign for election in 1960. But we know what happened after the election, because as we have evidence that that election was rigged. So when we are now where we are right now, which I'm sure you still want to ask more questions, and I'll give you more time to do that, because like I said to you, I will be available for 60 minutes because of my time constraint. Many Yorubas that are in love with the current state of Nigeria would definitely be against whatever we are doing or whatever we are saying. But what we need to first remind ourselves is we were Yorubas before Nigeria, and we will remain Yorubas before Nigeria would, after Nigeria will eventually, de-amalgamated, because you cannot expect, any progress in Yoruba land today. I've seen you, Shegun, many times going on those high road and moaning and complaining. I wish that I could do the same thing in the UK, but it's a complete different thing entirely. I'll leave it for now, but where we are is that the movement never died, but in any movement, we must expect all kind of attack. And the attack that came through was from the government of President Bola Tinubu before he became the president, to make sure that they can derail not just the vote, to also bring many of our media platforms as much as they can, but that failed. Buhari did the same thing, not just Tinubu himself. Let me take you back to when Buhari was in power. People like myself, were attacked, media-wise, because they believed that what we were doing was against their own agenda. But the question is, where is Buhari today? Where is Lai Mohammed? Lai Mohammed was telling lies, each time he fly down to UK that the country was working. But today, we have overcome them, and we will also overcome the current administration.
Thank you so much. That's copious. I just want to quickly take you back because there's a bit of confusion somewhere. And the confusion is arising from how you believe that Mrs. Dupe Onitiri was an infiltration, or somebody was planted like a mole by. If you said she was a mole merely, it would be understandable. But to accuse President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of being the one who planted her as mole spikes a little bit of controversy, and the reason is this: there's a video of you and Oloye Sunday Igboho sometime when the agitation, the advocacy started really big, and Oloye Sunday Igboho was suggesting that people should stop speaking against Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that he would be a very good candidate for president in Yoruba nation, that they want him, is their leader and all that. So people believed that there probably would have been some consultation between Oloye Igboho and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that he probably was even working for his own ticket at the time. So for you to now say Asiwaju is attacking
Let me
the
let me
movement or
address that
advocacy.
particular gray area. I think what many people need to understand is that first and foremost, Tinubu is a Yoruba man, and whether it will be, the president of Nigeria, or whether even Babakitoye said it himself that it would have been better for him, to leave whatever his ambition to become the Nigerian president, and nothing was going to come out of it. And we can see in 1 year, it has been a very ridiculous government in terms of inflation and everything. But they are, this motion, this, discussion that goes around the world that Igboho is working, or there's an agenda of Igboho communicating with Tinubu. I can tell you that my principle till date, I've never had any discussion behind the closed door, outside, with President Bola Tinubu, whether before he became the president or not. I was in Nigeria in 2021, and I met Alaafin, the late Alaafin, and I know what he said, regarding Tinubu himself. So when people come out and say that, there's this agenda that we are working for Tinubu, even I've had a lot of discussion that, we are already preparing the 2027 agenda for Tinubu. The question is, what happened after Tinubu leaves office? Because Tinubu would probably have 8 years like Buhari, but the Yoruba people will still be, dipped into more problem, because we're talking about problems that have been in existence for a very long time. The Fulani issues that they were never part of Nigeria has been an issue that have been with us. So it is not the agenda about Tinubu now. We're talking about, the Yoruba people that have been kept in darkness. And what we've done is Igboho has come into the light of many Yoruba people to say, look, the reason why you're suffering is nothing before that the life of you will not be far better. You will remain who you are, because as the indigenous people, we can pull out of Nigeria, which was amalgamated, which needs to be de-amalgamated. So let's put this clear very well. Igboho doesn't have any communication. Igboho doesn't have any business with Tinubu. Yes, I have said it so many times. I don't hate Tinubu, and I don't have any reason, why I should hate him. I don't even pray for his death. But what we know is that Tinubu himself, during his exile, right here in the UK, in Milton Keynes, stated it, that he does not believe in one Nigeria. So what changed, within that space of time that he came back to become the governor of Lagos State in 1999? Tinubu has only 8 years. The Yoruba will still be in existence even after Tinubu will pass on, probably maybe when he's 160 years old, which I know that the Yoruba have been in existence for 13,000 years. Let's go back to where you came up to say, how do we have the information that Duke Onitiri was working for Tinubu? Like I said, I don't have to give you all the evidence right here, but we have the evidence. It's confidential, but as many people know, that there is nothing like Yoruba country right now today. And we saw all the shenanigans that she put through during the secretariat that many people still believe. I mean, I wonder why the diaspora that we thought are well educated still think that Tinubu, Duke Onitiri has given them a country. But like I said, Tinubu, I can categorically say, with Onitiri are working in conjunction to derail what Babakitoye had to put forward. And there is a lot of
Okay.
evidence that can take you back to Nadeko era, where Tinubu infiltrated the group itself. Tinubu has always, and we continue to infiltrate groups for his own selfish interest. I understand you are in Nigeria, and there's little that you can say to that. I am not scared of Tinubu. If Tinubu think that what I'm saying is probably an allegation against him, well, there's enough money with his hand to put me to the court of law in the UK.
Thank you so much. Before I come back to you, Mr. Koike, please, if you are watching and you have any specific questions, kindly drop it in the comments so that you can pass it to him. If you have any question that you feel I have not touched or asked. So, Mr. Koike, you said something that is of interest, but I want to put it this way. How soon are you looking at? There was supposed to be a declaration as of the time Onitiri was still in the part of the movement. We were expecting the declaration, and there's something, whatever happened.
I'm not sure where you're picking the news from. Maybe again from the Duke Bonitary version. Babakitoye at no point, and I want you to show me the evidence, said that there will be a declaration. What Babakitoye said, that we will hold on to our towns and cities across the 119 local government, if I'm still right with my numbers, that we hold in the southwest part. And that means that we will force the government to come into a roundtable discussion with us to our right to self-determination. The expectation of many people when we started, especially with my kind of utterances, is that myself and Igboho would not allow the election to hold. And like I said, there was a lot of security, threat to our lives. There was a lot of reason why people think that we were coming back to make a kind of destructions of lives and property. But we saw the election, we saw the shenanigans, we saw how many innocent Nigerians were not even allowed to vote. Even the Yorubas that were living in the Southwest were intimidated. Shegun, you were in Nigeria, you saw the election, but the question is, their belief was that we had something in place to destroy or bring chaos. But the question is, who are we fighting for? We are fighting for the layman that are angry. We are fighting for the layman that do not understand between the left and the right. And what do I mean by that? The layman that doesn't understand that the British entity called Nigeria, it does not matter. I work with the Nigerian community for 10 years. If you go back and ask Abike Dabiri, if you go back and ask, Lalong, if you go back and ask many of your governors, I was within the Nigerian community with many ambassadors. I've lived here for 25 years. So when it comes to the Nigerian community, there's nothing anyone can tell me about the Nigerian community because I serve that community. But the question is, should I leave a Yoruba indigenous person and then say, I want to save Nigeria? I don't have to save Nigeria. My fight now is to take my people out of what the British created, which is called Nigeria.
So I was going to ask how soon you project for this to
So we
actualize.
can't give
Is
a
it while
timeline
Tinubu is
to a
still president
declaration.
or after he leaves office?
Well, you can't give a timeline to a declaration of when all this is going to happen. Let me take you back to history a little bit. If you make a declaration, even right now, Tinubu has every right to use all the force within his power, to bring it against the people that are agitating. So what we are doing, is also strategy because if you declare like East Timor did in 1975, the Indonesian government then went in and massacred nothing less than 180,000 people. That fight took another 30 years. But then what we expect Tinubu to be doing, should be calling us to the round table and ask what we want. But Tinubu thinks that, he owns everyone. He doesn't own everyone. There could be intimidation there could be intimidation there. It is two ways. The two ways is we go through the Soviet Union route, which means that we can dissolve Nigeria and everybody go their separate ways. Or it will go through the Milosevic route, which is the Yugoslavia, and that means that there's going to be, streams of blood. Who wants blood in 2024? Shegun, across the world today is a very, very chaotic world that we are living. Go to Palestinian, about 42,000 people have died. Go to Ukraine, go to Sudan. There's a lot of war going on around the world. Does this government want another war in Nigeria? The question should be no. That is why they are shaking because nobody knows where we are right now, especially as Igboho, on the behalf of Babakito, delivered the letter. And I will be coming to that letter issue in just about a few minutes. But for now, we cannot say the declaration will come today or it will come tomorrow. What we are still doing is what I call engagement, diplomacy, diplomatic, but all options are on the table.
Allow you address a gray area also. I think there was a time, and if I remember, two persons particularly among the front liners in the online support, including even mobilizing for funds. And at the time, maybe perhaps it's also one of the reasons there was some kind of slowdown eventually. Some of them came out to say that, oh, the movement is a scam. They were only using it to generate fund, and it caused a lot of disbelief for the audience for the Yoruba Nation advocacy at the time. I mean, if I remember very well, there was a Madam Maureen Badejo, and later your close person who was also a chief mobilizer for fund, Mayegun Diary Political. What can you just touch on it, clear it? What actually happened? Because it discouraged a lot of people at some point.
Let me first address Maureen Badejo because I was in Nigeria in 2021 when she called and wanted authorization from myself through Igboho to allow her to raise funds. Look, Shegun, I mean, I am not a legal immigrant. I could have raised that fund myself if I wanted to. I could have created a GoFundMe. GoFundMe is the most easiest thing to do. And with my personality, with Igboho, that would have generated, even a lot of people came back and said, why did you even give it to her? Because she was a controversial person online based on what she was touching, which has got to do with religion. But that was not the issue. I believe that we were all just one individual that wanted the progress. When she raised that fund, then she came back, wanted to now give us another from another money that she said she was raising to support the security. The question is, the real fund that she had, that she said that we had access to, I didn't have access to the fund. I don't have access to the email. If anybody raises a fund through GoFundMe, you need to have access to the email. The question you should ask her is, do I have access to the email that brings the report of what is coming in and what is coming out? I don't have access to the signatory. She has access to everything. What she wanted to do, let me give you what she wanted to do. She wanted to turn the fund to, I will give you a certain amount of money. That means that if we will then use that, and then if we need another money, we will come. Let me state it clearly. Even with Mayegun Diary, Mayegun could not, and I say it live here, you can watch this program, it would dare not have started any GoFundMe without me giving him the authorization through my principal, Sunday Igboho. Just the same way Maureen did. Mayegun did the same thing, raised fund, and at the end of the day, the question is, none of them can come out and say that we wanted, myself wanted a percentage out of the fund that they were raising. A lot of Yoruba people were not even comfortable with these two individuals because they were completely not involved in Yoruba Nation. And we have people that were fully 100% in Yoruba Nation that could have raised the fund. But let me say something, fund is always needed. Even the politicians need fund to run their campaign. American election is coming next month. Without fund, I remember when Kamala Harris was appointed, nominated rather, to become the presidential aspirant for the Democrat. Within the space of hours, funds were raised because they needed that fund to run the project. The same thing with Donald Trump. So if anyone is coming out to say, oh, the funding for Yoruba Nation has been scammed, a lot of allegations came on my name that, I was using the Yoruba Nation fund to, to even marry wives and buy cars. And I said, look, if you find any property that I bought in Nigeria, just take it and use it for your own personal use. But one thing is, let me state it clearly, like I'm always stated it in my program. I was born with silver spoon. And I will say it again, my dad is Alhaji Mojeed Omotayo Koiki, well known by Ebenezer Obey. Ebenezer Obey is still around. And there's a music that my dad, Obey did for my dad called Constant Star. And that is exactly what I've emulated. When it ẹgbẹ́ bá dára látọ̀dọ̀ olórí ẹgbẹ́ ni, bẹ́ẹ̀ni kan kó mọ kájọ máa kó, bẹ́ẹ̀ni kan ṣẹ̀yẹ ká bá ṣẹ̀yẹ. I have put my life on this, and I'm not joking. What reason I came back in Nigeria in 2021 was because I have lived there, I've seen the difference, and I know that the only option is to pull out. When people talk about funding, we're talking about people that have never tasted wealth. Just like Igboho was saying yesterday, he flew in 2016, the most flew business class person, in the whole of Africa, if not the world, because he traveled twice a month on business class. I went to a private primary school, which is still right there, Onward Northern Primary School. I went to Objectv Grammar School, which Shoyinka went as well. So when people talk about money, these are people that have never tasted wealth in their life. I have lived here before Yoruba Nation started. My mom lives there, so even if I wanted to be sending money to my mom, it's not the issue. But we have people that thought that the Yoruba Nation was an opportunity, to grab and hold. Yes, there were few people that did that, but when it comes to me, what I can say is that yes, we had donation, voluntary donation. I'm sure you do get voluntary donation as well. So if it's voluntary for you, it is for your own personal use. But for every dime that was asked to be used for the purpose of the movement that came through me were used. But what people wanted to know is, were you buying ammunition? We never bought any ammunition with any money. What we did was we did flyers, we did campaign, we did flags, we did, everything that anyone out there could be hearing Yoruba Nation. And just look at it. The Ifelodun Apapo worked tirelessly with myself and the Yoruba self-determination movement, and look at the result. of one bullet. We have given the Nigerian government one bullet. We've not even released the rest of the bullet. And everyone out there is already shaking in their palms. The Yoruba people will leave Nigeria. Either we live by peace, and I'm saying it, or we live by war.
Hmm. And are you ready for the latter? But anyways, oh, you mentioned
What,
it in the
what on a daily basis? The Ukrainian went back to support their mission to make sure that Russia doesn't invade them and take their land. We're talking about land, Shegun. When we are talking about land, we're talking about demons. The Fulanis are demons. These are individuals that care less about every single Yoruba people. They will invade you, they will take your land, and you will become a third-class citizen. And many Nigerians are still sleeping. We're talking about the elite that think that, this is about Igbo, this is about Koiki. Look, I've just had a full breakfast from McDonald's. I mean, I love it. Many Yoruba people in 1,000 years will not be able to have a full 3 square meal. We have corrupt criminal politicians that are working with the agenda of the West. I live in the UK. The UK government knows that what we are doing is not terrorism. We are not terrorizing anybody. But what we are saying is that we will not sit back and allow people that were never part of Nigeria to now invade us. If we fail this time around, like others have done, it will be very difficult to take it back. And we cannot work
to get
together.
back again. Yes. Hmm.
People say, oh, we want one unit of Nigeria and all that. Look, there's nothing called the unity of Nigeria. The unity of Nigeria was never there. We are all different people. We can live side by side. Asking for self-determination is not a war. My utterances is the reason why many people disagree with this movement as well. But what I'm saying is that we've got to be blunt. Freedom is not bought from Ojuelegba. You don't buy freedom. Let me take you back to a bit of history. When the UK, I went to the Slave Museum right here in Liverpool. I cried inside because when the British came in 18th century, it took them 42 years to invade every part of Nigeria and convert it to what is called Nigeria today in 1914. They came in 1886 to Lagos Colony, as at the time. We were an empire. So what they've done is they've destroyed everything that we own and then telling us we're Nigerians. There's nothing called Nigeria, and I'm sure your great-great-grandfather were Yoruba before Nigeria. I would rather have us to have dispute as Yoruba people. The German have dispute. The Scottish people have dispute. Let me say again, with the soul of Alex Salmon, rest in peace. It is is either you are in or out. Alex Salmon was the first minister of Scotland. I only just find out that he died because I've been so busy. I only just find out that he died on Saturday at age of 66 of heart attack in Monrovia somewhere. But while he was the first minister, he has pulled out. He's now one of the campaigner for the Scottish to have their independent country. And I can tell you that even the English are now getting tired of many of us right here. They might not do anything, but everybody have the right to self-determination. What we are doing is not against the law. Nigerians might not like it. They might be deceiving themselves because Nigerians are fake. What they love is fake. It's not about it. We're not talking about skit here. We're talking about real lives of people that have been in danger. The Queen great grandmother came to Nigeria and took us as slaves and then convert us into whatever they wanted to convert and say, oh, we got independent. Nobody got any
Well,
independent. If you had, let me come and check on Omni. If you had independent, you will not have Tinubu, and I'm talking about Tinubu before he became the president, and I can call him name. Come to London to Chatham House to come and discuss what? We had Atiku, we had Kwankwaso, we have Peter Obi. Peter Obi is an hypocrite. He went into the same number 10 down the street, came out and left PDP. What was spoken inside that building when it came out? So when people say Igbo, oh, go and drop the letter at the Senate. Which Senate? Well, I'm sure maybe before Ike Madu comes out, Nigeria will have break up. Because right now, he's enjoying his good time in the prison it was in UK.
well, part of the reason many people slowed down was the election. I'm sure you also know that many Yoruba people felt like if Tinubu becomes president, it is one step forward for Yoruba people, even if you don't have Yoruba nation yet. In the event Tinubu became president and a lot of people slowed down, I don't know what impact that had on the Yoruba nation movement. But I know that many Yoruba people said Awalokan and slowed down and allowed Tinubu to go.
Those are
But it looks like the precipitation.
look, Chego, let's get this very clear.
Let
The
me land with
Yoruba,
so that you can respond together. So that
okay,
you can respond together. So, and I also understand that some of the supporters of Oloye Sunday Igboho, after his incarceration when he was held down in exile, some of them even went to, and I think I remember, was it Omiyale,
only
Awikonko, and the rest of them. So quite a
exactly.
number of people, yes, quite a number of people felt like, yes, if you cannot even achieve Yoruba nation yet, at least it looks like what we can still do while we are in Nigeria is to support our own. And many of them went to, until eventually, maybe after a few months down the line, the precipitation of hardship caused many of them to start looking back. So a lot of Yoruba people felt like, well, if Yoruba is still president, it is still a footing forward. But for those who are looking further, would say Yoruba would therefore not be there forever. So there has to be something in it, which is, I think, is what is bringing the advocacy up again. But then I want to ask, if there is a comfort, because part of the reason many people are asking that Nigeria divides and people go self-rule is that the coming together of the various parts in the first place was not negotiated by the local potentates. It was just a forced amalgamation, and people feel, well, if we can't even go our separate way, at least we can negotiate our union. If there is a confab by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today to bring in the Yoruba nation agitators, to bring in the Biafra agitators, to bring in all the people who are agitating for self-rule and advocacy and their self-determination, would you consider that at least? Because I understand that they are already mouthing restructuring, return to regional government, confab. If they ask us to renegotiate our union, would you consider that at least?
All right. A lot of you, probably maybe not you, because I know you're very well learned individual, and I do follow you. I love your energy, and I appreciate, your time. Let me tell you, you talked about four things that I'm going to quickly talk about. First and foremost, nobody's going to give you any comfort. So if any Nigerians is waiting for a comfort, there's nothing called comfort. The lies within the media circle of Nigeria was when Fakumuda came out and put out something in the media and say, "Oh, we want a regional government." I think that was what he said. And there were even rumor then that was saying that they started debating it. And I went back to review, looking for where it was being debated. Nothing of restructure can happen because as far back as 2017, Shegu, Comrade George Akinola stated at Adamasiga that it is just too late for restructuring. So
Mm.
if the expectation is that Tinubu will restructure Nigeria back to give us what we had in 1960, which again was not a true independent. Because what the British did, a lot of Nigerians don't understand this. The British wanted the control of Nigeria, and they were never ready to let the Southwest or the Southeast be at the realms of their fear. So the independence of Nigeria was only between the British and the North. So nothing of the fact that says that we got independent, but again, the word independent is what is being used, and many people think, oh, October 1st, we are celebrating independence. We are not celebrating an independence. That is the first and foremost. Now, let's go back to restructure. What do you want to restructure? Under what foundation? What are you expecting to restructure? We're talking about a unity that is not there. I mean, go on the social media today as an example. You can see the backlash between all the ethnic groups. So I would rather want to visit the North on the basis that I am going to an Islamic country. I was born as a Muslim, but right now I have gone past being a Muslim or Christian. I am a Yoruba as a core Yoruba man. And when I say core Yoruba man, I'm sure you know what that means. So the
Mm.
fact is that I still believe the Islam, but I don't believe the Islam of the North. Let's go back to, is it Rebecca? I believe she was the one that was born to death. a couple of months or years back. These are people that are
Deborah.
not Deborah, thank you so much. If you're expecting me to come and live in a country where Sharia is already being operated in a country that we are meant to be one, what is the essence of that? So that means that if I want to go to Saudi Arabia from here as a non-British passport holder, I will have to get a visa.
Mm,
If you look at the
mm,
criteria, when I get there with my wife, can she put on a skimpy dress that I would love to see? If they said no, that means I don't want to go there. But can I go to Italy, where we know that we can look very good, enjoy the weather? So what I'm trying to explain is that you cannot restructure anything that has never been working for the last 64 years of this country that was not a country. Forced amalgamation, because I'm now moving to the forced amalgamation. And it's good that I'm hearing from many of you now that are talking about amalgamation. A lot of us, a lot of people back home look at us as maybe people doesn't have a job, they're not, they're hungry, they want. Look, let me say something. My YouTube channel has been demonetized for the last 3 years going. So when people talk about, oh, we are making money on the YouTube, look, Shegun, if I want to make money on the YouTube, I know the kind of content I will put on there to make money. And I live in Europe. I know what I can do. I can convert my house with my children, and then we get. So, but the fact is that this forced amalgamation, how do we resolve it? Should we just sit back and allow criminals, politicians, like Yaya Bello, that had the infantry to steal the money from the state and pay the school fees? I mean, Shego, these are things that make me go nutty. How can you take out money from the government corporate and pay upfront? Can I take Naira and pay to American school in America? That you cannot do in the first place. So we know the agenda of Nigeria is the West. And when I mean the West, is the West. Whether we talk about the breakdown of each of the West, the agenda is to keep the people together and then take your resources. Nobody knew what Sambisa. I thought Sambisa was like a deep forest until we realized that Babangida created Sambisa. So the fact remains is that we have enough to feed ourselves. We have enough to take care of ourselves. Myself and Dr. Chisonde will travel 2 hours from Manchester to Wales. This is a population of less than 3 million. And they're doing very well. They are still part of the UK.
mm.
Let's take it back. When United Kingdom wants to go and compete in football, England is going. Scotland goes the same way, the same Scotland that my brother is. Wales goes, and then Northern Ireland. We have 4 teams competing. But when it comes to Nigeria, as an example, you would have to go and see Babalawo or go to your church or your church so that you can be participating as part of the sport. So the fact is that this amalgamation is a false amalgamation. What every Nigerian should be discussing is to be amalgamating. But what they're discussing now is, Igbo is working for another agenda so that the North will not be able to threaten Tinubu. Who cares if the North?
That's a distraction there. I guess they're about to set out again. So if you're just
Who
joining,
the North, threaten Tinubu or not? Who knows the agreement between them? But what we should be discussing right now is not an election again. There is no, and I love, Showore, and I'm sure Showore, you know as well, because I communicate with him behind the closed door. There is nothing any Nigerian can do to change the structure that you have now. Even if you check, you are given a position in Nigeria. If you have the love of the people, the system would not allow you to
I'll even
operate.
turn it down. I
Well,
will
I
turn it
mean,
down. I can't walk.
then
I
I wouldn't
cannot.
be. What we are doing, I didn't know this as well, but during this movement, what we are doing is that every 4 years, we are renewing this amalgamation. Whether the amalgamation is 100 years or not, who are Britain and America to tell us on our own territory that we cannot take it back from who we are before, this amalgamation? A lot of
And
people
that
say
is
that,
why and
yeah,
that
go
is why
ahead.
people are asking And that is why people are asking the question, why submitting letter to
That is where I'm
the UK
coming.
Prime Minister? I mean,
The
yeah.
purpose of the letter that we took to the Downing Street, which has generated a great conversation, because everybody thought, oh, nothing is going to happen. Let me say this: Britain is not going to give us any country. United Nations does not give country. But the right of the Yoruba people at the appropriate time means that we can take back our country. We can take it back in a way that it will create the life of the indigenous people to be much better than the corrupt system that we have today. So when people are saying, "Oh, why go to the UK? Why not submit to the National Assembly?" I saw your comment under the letter that we sent to Tinubu. Many Nigerians do not know that we sent a letter on the 17th of April. The follow-up letter that we wrote to Buhari, Tinubu did not even acknowledge the letter. Tinubu doesn't want to accept the truth that the Yoruba people, whether it is the millions of Yoruba people that wants to go or the few that wants to go, they are the Yorubas that want to be part of a created country by Lugard. Many of you don't even know who Lugard is. Lugard House, all the way from Ninth Bridge. I've been there. So when we talk about Nigeria, many people think that Nigeria is their property. Nigeria is not your property. Nigeria is a business center. And as long as there is still Nigeria, we will not be able to have our true identity. So the fact that we deliver a letter that many people want to know the content, the letter is just to say, I'm just saying generally now, that the Yoruba people, just as we've done the letter to United Nations and a lot of other, organs around the world, that the Yoruba people do not want to have anything to do with Nigeria. And we want to exit Nigeria, but we don't want it to be bloodshed. But whether that happens or not is subject to the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some might say that it's just another agenda to keep him there for the next 8 years or 4 years. The problem is yours, not ours. But when we are ready, under the leadership, let me state this: there is not come easy, but the crisis that Obasanjo, the former president, himself, that Nigeria is to take the care of them. It's not just we have the Niger Delta is there, we have the Biafra that is there. Some of you don't even. We have the El Zakizaki that is there. We have many stakeholders in Nigeria. And
shite.
it is important that Tinubu call everybody together, not to restructure the country and out. Do you still want to remain on? Give a referendum, some say. But like I said, when the time comes, like the Yoruba will say, "Tí àsìkò bá tó láti lọ sí ilé ìgbẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n máa nà."
Well, you made a comment in passing. You said you part of the letter was to let the prime minister know that Yoruba people do not want to have anything to do with Nigeria.
Please put me there because I know, many people will say that I do not know what the content of the letter is. So let me tell you that we have been to the British
Okay, but
embassy.
you made a comment in
Let,
the passing that the reason
let me
for this agitation and this advocacy is that
tell me
Yoruba
what
people,
the Yoruba people are
Yoruba,
tired. I am prepared to go to
exactly,
number 10 many
exactly.
times.
So that is where I want to draw my question. I'm not dwelling on content of the letter now. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to take something from the comments you made in passing that Yoruba people are tired and want to breathe. Okay, now, so when you say
tired.
Yoruba people,
What belongs to us? We're not tired there. We are taking back what belongs to us. Nigeria doesn't belong to Nigeria. What language is Nigeria? Nigeria belongs to the indigenous people. Jonathan said the same thing. I'm sure by the time Tinubu completes his tenure, we'll be doing the same interview saying that the Yoruba people should have left. But again, when they're in power, they are not ready to release exactly the right information to the people. But go ahead.
all right, so I just want to ask when you say Yoruba people, like what is the statistic? Like, are you sure Yoruba people truly want? Because as it stands right now, um, there are still Yoruba senators, there are Yoruba governors, there are Yoruba. In fact, Yoruba people in the southwest, as I speak now, largely are happy at the local government. Let me so that you can answer together.
governors and all these, they're criminals as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, let's go and talk to the right people and ask them if they truly wants to remain one entity. But we must also be given the opportunity. Everybody needs to understand that. Because when the Scottish people were going to decide a fate in 2014, and as the only English, parliament, the English that told the Scottish people that, oh, you allow us to remain one. But in 2016, which is 2 years up the line, part of the EU, that was a lie. Let the parliament in UK here give the Scottish people opportunity for another second referendum. That will be the end of the union. So if we are going to be given opportunity to campaign and go deep into areas that we need to go to without intimidation, then let them give us a referendum and let's decide whether Yoruba people wants to stay in a country that was created because many Yoruba people do not even understand what Nigeria means to them.
Oh yes, but I just wanted to know whether the feelers you have right now, so corroborates the suggestion, because another election is about to happen, for instance, in Ondo State, and people are gearing up seriously for it. So
Yes,
any
yes,
conversation now.
because like I always say to people, we still have there's still a country called Nigeria. I still have the right to go to the Nigerian embassy and the right to open the door to me because as far as I'm concerned, I'm still in Nigeria. We don't have a country yet. So the fact that election is going on in a state or not is not the issue is when the people understand because you can't leave the state vacuum. So the fact is we're not fighting for Ondo State alone, we're fighting for the whole southwest part of Nigeria. So if
I'm just
people are
using
saying,
Ondo as an example that people are still going about their normal businesses,
okay,
and
okay, what do you expect? People need to go there. No, 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 but we need to continue to give them. This is exactly what we are doing. But what the government is doing is they keep blocking, access routes, and that is why we need to be grateful to somebody like Igbo. Many people thought that they would kill Igbo right in his house, July 1st, 2021. But as God makes it, Igbo is still alive. Look at it, 21, 22, 23, 24. 3 years down the line, Igbo dropped a letter on behalf of Babakitoye. The government is threatening the British High Commissioner, Dr. Richard Montigori, in Abuja. Igbo has responded that you don't need to intimidate him. This is not about intimidation. Shegun, are we in the military era? We are in a democracy. So I believe that Tinubu is a Democrat. What he needs to do, set up the team to discuss with the team of Babakitoye, not in Nigeria, right with the UN, the EU, the African Union, so that we can debate and decide if we still want to go. But when I hear the APC in the UK, the APC that is so divided, they have about 3 or 4 fractions, and yet many commentators writing articles condemning Igboho this, Igboho that. I say to them, the time of change that can happen in our lifetime is getting closer. And many of them are getting concerned and worried. And like I've said on my broadcast many times, we are not the affiliations. I met Babadi Banjo when I came to Nigeria in 2021. I begged him, I told him that you're an elderly, why not come out and say exactly what you're telling me behind the closed door? But they don't want to. I'll leave that for now. I saw many other elderly people. Most of them are scared for their life. Are we scared for our life? It's only one life, and we will live long enough to witness a Yoruba country that would happen. And if anybody says, "Oh, it's not going to happen," it's a social media. I'm not here to make anything more than the fact that the Yoruba people are determined, and we will exit Nigeria either by coup or by peace.
Thank you so much. I know it will be a continuous conversation because we can't end it all at once. The activities that are still going to
Let me take
spike or
questions.
continue.
I don't know whether questions are coming. If you have one or two, I'll take
Yes.
3 or
Okay. Let me just push one more for now, and then we close it for now, and then we'll still come back later. Uh, the last one for now is that we see that there are activities now, UK in diaspora, Nigerians are organizing, Yoruba people are organizing. But prior now, you know that there used to be rallies and activities in Nigeria, especially the southwest and all that. So now that the advocacy is beginning to uh, raise interest again and garner interest again, would there be activities in Nigeria, especially now that Tinubu is president, so that people know that it doesn't matter that it is Tinubu that is president? Or is it that after Tinubu leaves, rallies will now resume again in the southwest, so that people will not say, hey, you waited until your brother left and now you are resuming activities? Will there be activity? Are we expecting activities in
Um,
Nigeria other than diaspora?
People always come out and say, "Oh, Tinubu, is going to go. Then we will come back and then we will start our activities. We will start our Yoruba Nation awareness and blah blah blah." Do you know that there was a awareness campaign in Ijebu on Saturday, the same day we were having the rally in London? There were. So did you know that 2 weeks ago, back to back, in the same Alimosho local government, we had rally, I'm not rally, but awareness campaign. I'm sure you probably don't know. The question is, there has never been any time that there was never any kind of engagement on the ground. What people wanted to see was that big rally, in Ekiti, in those states, that was attended by millions, Yoruba people that were tired of this contraction, that has never worked from day one because the British. I live in UK, so I can tell you that the British never wanted Nigeria to work. As far as we know that Nigeria is still an entity to Britain. So when people say, "Oh, why bring a letter to you?" Look, they created Nigeria. Whether they want to allow Nigeria to dissolve or not is their own problem. But what we are doing is under, the UN Charter. Rally will continue, regardless of whether not you, perspective. Tinubu leaves office. Tinubu have 2 years, I believe, for the first tenure. People say, "Oh, Igboho is already pushing so that the agenda of Tinubu for 2027." Babaki Toye will decide at the appropriate time when the rally will go. If you're going to listen to Igboho when he spoke before we went into fantastic, outing, like I said to you, in the East, Igboho said himself that, rally will kick back start when I will not be able to tell you right now, but we know that the rally in Nigeria will start. But the concern is Nigeria prepared, for the others? And when I mean the others, the others that are also, agitating. They're not secessionists because I've seen a lot of Nigerian media, use the word secessionist. They're not secessionists, they're self-determination. But one thing I wanted to take note, and your listeners, is that in the history of this country, even for the 25th of the year, never shut down the whole major high street. And we were able to do so, on Saturday the 12th. Not only that, we were also delivered, something that many people just want to know what is inside. And like I said, whatever the Nigerian government is saying that, oh, that petition, that letter, is of no relevance, is of no use. Well, when the time of use or don't use happen, I'm sure you probably come back and say, you said it. The one thing is, no one should intimidate the Yoruba people that wants to go. A lot of people are scared because we have, a system that is so corrupt, and we know what they can do and what they can do. Igboho has a very good life with his children and wives, in where he lives. So Igboho is not fighting for himself; he's fighting, for the generation of today and the generation tomorrow. Will all Yoruba people agree? Well, not everybody agreed, but one thing is, it is better that we have our true identity, which is Yoruba, than have the fake identity. Like I said, Nigeria is still existing. A lot of us are still have our Nigerian passport. That does not mean that you have engagement with the Nigerian community. I do have a lot of engagement, with the Nigerian community. On Friday, while we were having the dinner for Igboho, I met with the former chairman of the Central Association of Nigerians in the UK. I am still, working with them, but not working as I was doing before some 10 years ago. But what I'm saying is that there is nothing stopping us from having our own independent. But it's just that many Yoruba people are worried, some even think that when we say we want our country, you will take that your house, you will remove it. These are the reasons why awareness continue all the time. But again, I'll take my question. because, like I said to you, I can only stay there for one because I have other engagements as well. So sorry.
Yeah, somebody has a comment for you. Dada Mark on YouTube. It says that Chief Igbo is supposed to be in Nigeria. I mean, protecting our forests, but he's somewhere in London speaking grammar. I don't know if you
Exactly.
have a response for Dada.
Hold on, tell the what the governor. Do you know that your governor are security board? Where is Tinubu is in London, in Paris, I mean, and I'm speaking not on your, you saying this, I'm saying that Tinubu is very ill in France right now. He ran away from them. Shetima is in Sweden. You are now on autopilot. Nobody's going to people say we should be in the
There's
forest.
still Akpabio. We still have
Let me put
Akpabio.
why not tell that individual to bring his brother or his dad to go to the forest and take care of the people in the forest?
Well, the person is trying to compare with what the Biafrans are
The
doing. Give an example of
yeah,
Simon Ekpa in Europe.
the way is the one in charge of the fund coming into each of the state. All these governors that are criminals that should be using the fund to take care and make sure that they protect the forest. You don't need the goal to be in the forest. The goal is good where it is.
Okay, so let me ask just one last question for now. I'm sorry I said last question already twice. This is just a last follow up. So you saw some of the things the Biafra agitators are doing when they say they are putting up security network, trying to protect their land, forest, and all that. And I think it is in the background, that this person is asking the question: Why not Sunday Igbo organize something like that to protect Southwest?
The Biafra, have a relationship with Simon Ekpa. I've said it all the time. They're doing very well and great and pushing as much as they need to. The country that was kidnapped by Yoruba Bajo and Buhari, and many Nigerians think that that is a good thing that, Buhari tried to do the same thing in 1980 when he wanted to kidnap another people. What we need to explain to Nigerians is that right now, Simon Ekpa movement is two different movements, but same agenda. The Biafra wants to have their country. They have the right to have their country, just like Igbo also have the right to have his own country called Yoruba Nation.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Jimeto Matthew. Jimeto Matthew used to be on Facebook. I don't know. Did you cross Jimeto to YouTube? He asked me to greet you that you're doing well. He has a commendation for you. He's complimenting. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody who joined, and thank you so much, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, for your time. We will definitely.
No, you probably won't expect this. And myself, we've been good friends, for a very long time, just like many other, media in Nigeria. And for him to bring us on his platform, we got to be very grateful. I would have loved to be on platform as well, but what they keep saying is that, Mr. Koiki, we can't, because that area is still very, very gray and all that. But you're also making an issue, whether you're Yoruba man or not, whether you're belonging to the one thing is history, for what you're doing as well. And one thing is, just keep going. Fix that,
Thank you so
so
much, Mr. You know that even if I don't agree with everything for now, at least one thing that we have in common in agreement is that we are first Yorubas before we are Nigerians. Even if we want to see Nigeria prosper, we want to see Nigeria do well, we can only try our best. If it doesn't work, it's only okay that everybody just Yorubas will say Olomogbomu, yeah, right? So, but it's okay. Thank you so much for your time once again. Ongoing conversation.